Did you guys know that Nissan made a four-door GTR? No, it's not the Q60 or the Q50, and it doesn't have turbos. We're going to talk about that today on this episode of ModStars. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of ModStars. I'm your host Z. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with your friends and family. This is another episode of the Sleeper series. Now, main goals of this channel is to pretty much share things that are really creative. It could help anybody with a project or buying a vehicle or just getting into cars in general and doing so on some form of a budget. That being said, let's talk about the M56. Now, just to be clear, a similar platform to the M56 is the Q70 V8, but the reason why we're going with the 56 is because it came out first and it's a lot cheaper than the Q70s are. But all the mods and things I'm going to talk about in this video could also be applied to the Q70 if you have one or you want to get one. With that being said, I am not responsible for anything you do or don't do to your vehicles. Please check your local laws as far as modifications go. You make your bed, you sleep in it. It's on you. If I help you, great. If you enjoy the video, great. But I didn't make you do anything to your vehicle. That's you and the shop you took it to. That being said, let's get into the car. Now, the Infiniti M56, as the name suggests, has a 5.6 liter V8 like the Nissan Titan and the Nissan Armada. It makes 420 horsepower and 417 foot-pounds of torque, weighing 4,028 pounds. Quarter mile times are interesting because some resources say 13.4, which is quick, and others say 12.9, which is very quick, for all things considered, for the type of vehicle it is. It also has a 7-speed transmission, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Now, I couldn't really find much about these vehicles that I have like common issues or anything like that. Of course, at the time, repairs of any kind weren't cheap because it was a new Infiniti, and anything new, especially a luxury brand, is going to cost. But now these cars are going anywhere from $13,000 to $19,000, whether it be the rear-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive versions. Yes, they made an M56S, but we're not going to talk about that because the S on that car does not stand for sleeper. It stands for sport. So, basically the same mods that I'm talking about for the M56 you could do on the M56S, but why waste the time and headache trying to find an S when you can do the same thing with a base M56 rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive and get the same if not better results for less money? Something to think about. Now, the first mod we're going to talk about is the final drive swap, so the diff swap. So from factory, the M56 has a low 2.6 to 1 final drive ratio. The G37 as well as the M37 have a 3.3 final drive, so it'll make it a little bit more peppy. Now, when I looked on eBay, I found a G37 final drive, well, a few of them, ranging from $180 to $230. Then I got curious, and I went on Z1 Motorsports for the built differential upgrade, and if they have 3.69 to 3.9, 4.08 and 4.36 to 1s for Z and G37 and G35 diffs, could you fit that on the M56? Possibly, but the real question is, do you want to spend $1,500 to find out? So it's not bad, but it may not even be necessary, but that is an option as well. Moving on to PPE headers. Now they go for, this is probably the most expensive part, upgrade for the car. It's about $2,472 and some change. Really big part, kind of like the ISF video. If you haven't watched that, go check that video out. Pretty much the same approach to this car, basic bolt-ons and a diff and a tune. And that's it. So, and the most expensive part of that also were the headers. Yeah. So I'm not going to say most of your power will come from the headers, but post-tune stock headers versus upgraded ones, it's going to show a lot. Actually, you know what? I'll take that back. Probably even before the tune, you're going to notice a significant increase in power from the headers within themselves. Moving on to intakes, there's two options. There are the HPS short rim intakes that currently, from the time this video is made anyway, the prices on any of these parts could change, but currently it's anywhere from $380 to $411. They claim an additional 17 horsepower and an additional 16 foot-pounds of torque. Or you can go the more affordable option and get some AEM dry flow filters. It's about $82 for two, so for a set. And for the intakes, you may or may not even get the same amount of power increase, but it will be better over stock, and it's low profile. So you can't tell unless you tell somebody, hey, open up the air box, let's see what filters in there, like anybody really would care. So that's a very sleek approach to that for a fraction of the cost. And then to sum up the power mods anyway, we have the Rev 9 axle back exhaust for $1,380, and then the Up Rev tune. Now, it gets a little tricky right here because I'm not sure if it's the full tuner kit that you need or just the software. The price is like a $200 difference roughly between the two. So it's $775 for the whole kit, and then there's other software that's like $500 more or less. I've heard that admin tuning can do the tune on M56s, though it's not so popular. And the website says if it's not posted on the website, we don't tune it. But I've heard otherwise. And the channel that I heard that from or read that in the comments, I'll add the link in the description below on some of his videos, is called Hog Modified. A really cool channel. The only person I really see tinkering with the M56, so shout out to Hog Modified. Also, unbeknownst to them or him and his shop dog, is an inspiration of this video. So again, thanks a lot, Hog Modified. I'll leave his videos in the description below. You can check that out when you guys get a chance. So last but not least, we're going to talk about the 7-speed transmission. So it is the RE7 R01A transmission, automatic, of course. And what's cool about this is that IPT transmission aftermarket company, they will upgrade torque converters, valve bodies, and provide shift kits and things like that. So for the valve body and shift kit upgrade for this transmission, it's $780. Now, of course, that will make firmer shifts, quicker shifts, and it'll hold RPMs higher before the gears change. So let's say all this is said and done on the car. It's not going to cost that much. Probably in parts, you're looking at less than $5,000 for engine and transmission mods in parts alone. And let's say you're making about 420 horsepower to the wheels, which is what's advertised crank on paper. So that's pretty cool. You're running like, I don't know, late 12s, 12.2, maybe quicker. According to the YouTube channel I mentioned earlier, Hogs Modified, I believe he ran a 12.2, and that did not include the transmission upgrade. So let's say theoretically it knocks it down to a 12.1, and then maybe he has a better tire on there or cooler weather conditions or whatever it may be. Maybe you're running 11s, 11.9, 11.8, who knows? Well, maybe not 11.8, but 11.9s at best. It's still an 11-second car on budget, and you don't even have 500 horsepower. So that's what I meant by a four-door GTR, and it doesn't have turbos. I mean, when the GTR first came out in the States, it ran like 11.9, 11.8, more or less. Also didn't make 500 horsepower to the wheels. I don't know if any of them do stock, honestly. Of course, we all know it depends on the dynos, but still, this is impressive for the amount of money that you'll spend on the car in itself. And with the parts included in that, it's still less than, well, yeah, it's right under $25,000 overall. So that's really cool. So now we're going to move on to brakes and suspension upgrades. So brakes, of course, there is the EBC Stage 5 Super Street Brake Kit, which ranges from $240 to $480. It comes with the pads and the rotors. Now, if you just wanted to upgrade the pads, the EBC yellow stuff, it's anywhere from $140 to $125. But again, just make it a complete package, I think. Get your money's worth, and if you're going to track it that much anyway, get the rotors as well. If not, maybe you can get away with just the pads. If something you want to take to the track every other weekend or things of that nature, you'll probably be fine with just the EBC yellow pad upgrades. Now, for stance and handling, we have the Tanabe NF, as in Nancy Foxtrot, 210 lowering springs for about $400. They drop the front of the car about 1.1 inches and the rear about 0.8. If you want a little bit lower of a drop, you're looking at the RSR lowering springs. Vivid Racing has them for about $340 currently, and they'll drop the front of the car from anywhere from 1.5 inches to 1.7, and the rear anywhere from 1.3 to 1.8. So it'll sit pretty low. It'll have more of an aggressive look as well. And we have the Megan Racing lower camber arms, rear tow arms, and rear traction rods as well. Each of these components go for about $165 each. So that's consistent and convenient. And that's not to say that you need these components, but probably just depends on your wheel setup and how low the car is, and of course, application and goals. I think for myself, I would do lowering springs, a tire, maybe mess around with the tire pressure when I'm going to the track, and perhaps rear traction rods as well. Maybe. And that's it. I mean, you have a luxury, full-size, pretty much sedan. Power-wise, parts are less than $5,000. And you have something that is quick enough and still comfortable and reliable that you're not really doing the most to. And it can compete. It can compete as far as today's standards of luxury goes and comfort and reliability. It can compete as far as performance goes as well. I'm sure there's probably there's faster cars out there, even faster sedans out there, with everything going turbocharged and things of that nature and dual clutch transmissions. But this is very simple, and you can pretty much do the same thing and probably even more consistently. Yes, I know you got 10-speed Mustangs now and Camaros and things like that, but are they consistently running their times in a quarter mile? I mean, maybe the person who's driving is new to the track or is scared to push it, so they're not even doing a 13.4. Maybe not. Whatever their times are may not be consistent. This is something that you can get familiar with and be really consistent and work on your driver mod, if you would, and like any car, and just have fun with it and just drive it home when you're done. You know, get groceries, go on a road trip, whatever. It's hard to find light cars, modern day cars that are light and have space, even SUVs and crossovers, believe it or not. So I don't see this as really, it's kind of hard to ignore. I know I say that a lot, but that's why I share these cars on this channel, because to me, they are hard to ignore. And once you see them in person, you probably say, okay, I wonder if they know what they have, or just like, that's the car that, Z was talking about on YouTube or whatever. You might not even take a second look at it, which is why it makes such a great sleeper. So, and this isn't all that you can do. Of course, if you're able to get the car tuned, you can even do E85, or you can just go simpler, port and polish the heads. It is a V8 after all. I'm not sure if the cams on Z1 Motorsports that fit the Armada and the Titan would fit, but I imagine it could, because it's also a VK56 motor. There might be slight variances. I'm not sure. But yeah, you won't even need to do all that though. So it's just the V8 platforms. They're simple. They just need a little bit more air to breathe and a little pick me up in the tune, and that's it, really. So let me guys know what you think, what you would do if you have this car, how you feel about it, what you would want to do with your car, what you have done. Like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.